way of speakers or videos or documentaries or pep talks, whatever you want to call it, but the whole aim is to help people that continuing to get to better health. We have a very she's going to be sharing a little bit of her journey on to better health.
Okay, so I meant to say this before when I was up there, but I always forget stuff I'm supposed to say. I just wanted to share with you guys, the ones who were over at the cooking classes that we had, I think it was about 2 weeks ago, over at the school. And I shared with you guys that I was really on this journey to do the whole vegan thing, and that I was doing very well with it. Well, I want to tell you, I kind of fell off the wagon the past week or so, and I just wanted to share that experience because I have been doing very, very well. But two things brought me down. And, well, one is vegan, I guess, but in the fall, I love candy corn. It's not fall to me without candy corn. So I probably bought at least 2 bags of it so far, and I keep it in my car, and I've been eating it. And then Saturday, we had a few people over to the house in the evening, and we decided to order pizza, and I had all this pizza. And I was like, yeah, that's pretty good. I probably shouldn't eat it. But I think between the two of them, since I turned 50, I've had a lot of aches and pains. And I just thought, oh, that's part of, just getting old. But since I had switched over to vegan, I noticed that a lot of those aches and pains and stiffness were going away. And I was like, oh, this is just like the people who say it on the videos, how you feel so much better. But I just want to say at work today, I felt so stiff and achy. And I said, I think it's because I fell off the wagon and I started eating stuff, and it's created inflammation in my body. That's what it is. That's what the achiness and the pain is. It's inflammation. And so it says to me, oh, my body doesn't need this dairy. So I'm going to go back this week, get back on the wagon, and eat as healthy as I can. But I just wanted to share that because, people come up front and they talk, but it's not all a perfect journey. And it's okay if you would like to be as healthy as, I don't know, whoever. But if you're not always, that's okay. It's just progressively getting better at what you eat. So I just wanted to let you know that even the leaders up here are real.
Well, thank you, Karen, for sharing that dose of truth. Our speaker tonight is a close friend of mine. His name is Sebastian Braxton. I've known him for about 20 years, sort of Fayetteville, North Carolina. And so they're trying to share a lot of innovative tools in the workplace and in the community as it relates to health. And tonight, I'm really speaking on the topic of hack your health. And I believe it's going to be very engaging, very fascinating. So pay attention, but certainly feel free to ask questions. Do you want the questions asked during the presentation or afterwards?
Afterwards would be ideal.
So afterwards, feel free to ask any questions as it relates to the presentation tonight. So at this time, we'll give a round of applause to our speaker, Sebastian.
All right, thank you, Marcus. Marcus and I have been friends since Marcus went to undergrad, I think. But yeah, it's been a while. I remember when he was first interested in Andrea, and those were some funny days as well. Marcus likes to keep his stuff close-knit. He's an engineer. Make sure you execute as planned. But Marcus has been a great friend, someone that I've definitely come to learn to trust. He was in my wedding. So he witnessed me cross that line of death commitment to my wife, and now I have my own tribe, 4 kids, et cetera, et cetera. And the beauty is that, health is one of those things that when my younger brother, I'm the oldest of 7 children, And he said to me one day, we were talking on the phone, and he says, you know, Sebastian, they call me Sab. And he said, Sab, you know, what do you think about this whole idea of generational wealth? You know, passing down wealth to your kids and to your grandkids, because my dad, he's been preaching that since we were little kids. Not just about you, it's about your kids and your kids' kids, you know, et cetera, et cetera. And so I told my brother, I said, you know, Royce, one of the things that I find to be important when you're talking about generational wealth is not just something that regards money. I said, one of the most important things you can pass down to your children is health, because health is true wealth. I've traveled the world, and you can see people that have lots of money, millionaires and billionaires, but their health is failing. All the money in the world cannot reverse poor lifestyle decisions. And because of this, they're learning the importance of these very decisions. And so I told my brother, I said, this is the most important thing for us to pass down to our kids. My brother has 6 kids. I have 4 kids. And I said, if you want to give your kids true wealth, give them and teach them how to take care of this body, how to take care and improve this mind. That can be some of the greatest wealth you can give to them. And so when I started crafting this presentation, Hack Your Health, as a CEO of the New Life Challenge, you know, we believe that health does not need to be complicated. Not only does it not need to be complicated, it needs to be tailor-made for you, right? This is the problem with dieting. This is the problem with a lot of the stuff that's out there. There is no cookie-cutter method. As soon as someone says, well, guess what? Nuts are great. They extend your life. Someone says, well, I'm allergic to nuts. So how do I extend my life? Someone says, well, guess what? Kale, you know, this is the new snake oil, right? It'll totally reverse this and this and this. Eat kale 4 or 5 times a day. It's gone off the shelves. And next, you know, someone says, well, there's something in the kale that's not working with my bowels. I can't eat it. You see, in each and every one of these scenarios that each and every one of us have, we can't just say, well, this is just a good fit for you. So it's better to back away and go to principles and strategies of educating and empowering people to know how to make healthy choices. And as they learn how to make these kind of healthy choices, they will learn how to adapt it to their particular lifestyle. So with the New Life, we're not just about another program, a dieting program, a lifestyle program. That's not what we are at the New Life. We're about empowering people to become the CEO of their own health. Your doctor, your nurse, your dietitian, your granddad who was a physician, these people are your consultants, but you are the CEO of your own health. You decide how this organism is going to be run. And all we do, as we say in the New Life, is you be the CEO, we're just your executive assistant. So you say, well, how do I do this? Well, we do the research and we tell you this is how you do this. And we connect you with other health transformers who may be specialists in their field per your issue. So tonight, when I crafted this presentation, Hack Your Health, it was because we do a lot of corporate wellness. Corporations are very interested in wellness. But the issue is most of them are unhealthy because of work, right? Especially doctors and nurses. So you go to work, you don't get your lunch break because some patient, you know, flatlined and now your break is over, right? Or you're a doctor and you're trying to spend social time with your family. Beep, beep, beep. The beeper went off. My mom was in the medical field. We could be playing a family game, beeper goes off, game's over. She has to go, and there's some patient that's in some situation. That time is over. So they're trying to live a healthy life, but the very fact that we're in a medical health crisis does not permit physicians and providers in their workplace to live the healthiest life. That's when I realized this is a true problem to solve. And the question becomes, how do you help people who are insanely busy, who are unmotivated, and who are burdened with poor health, live a healthy life? And so that's when we came up with Hack Your Health. This is basically, as you see the picture on the screen, right? A hacker figures out how to solve a problem. That's what hackers are. They just really kind of specify in the technology area. There's a problem, there's a firewall, there's a password, there's a security encryption. How do we get around that to get what we want and hack this thing? Well, what if I told you you can hack your own body? You can actually hack your health by certain decisions you make that are very simple. So I want to share with you tonight 10 tips for health on the go. You could be insanely busy. I guarantee all of these things can benefit you. That's simple. So let's start with number 1. See if this thing's gonna work. All right, it's not gonna work. And I'm going to try to unplug this, plug this. I know, right? This is exactly what I have to do. Let's see if we take it off live. Let's see what happens if we do that.
Anybody need time?
All right, there we go. So, 10 tips, health on the go. Number 1 tip, simplify your choices. I have a picture here of Barack Obama because most people do not know that the average American, the what kind of American? Average American makes 35,000 choices a day. 35,000. Now just think about that. You make 35,000 choices a day. You don't even realize you're making that many choices. Well, you see, part of living a healthy life has to do with self-control, right? When you see the chocolate cake, when you're rolling by and they're like, oh, it's Bob's birthday at work, and they roll out the Krispy Kreme donuts. Don't eat the donuts. Don't eat the donuts. It's like you're exercising self-control. Well, guess what? Self-control is like any other muscle in your body. It works like a muscle. The more you have to exercise it, the weaker it becomes, right? So it's just like the first time you jump on a machine and you're exercising, right, and you push that weight, because your muscles are fresh, very easy to move that weight the first time. But when you get set number 5, and they're like, all right, man, 20 more reps. You're like, I don't know about this. This is not for me. I'm not trying to be Arnold Schwarzenegger, right? I just want to get healthy. Well, guess what? The more decisions you and I make in a day, the weaker our resolve will be when those health choices come up. And so one of the best ways to hack your health and help increase your self-control in the Krispy Kreme donut situation is to simplify your choices. You see, Barack Obama, when he became president, he was familiar with this research that the Harvard Medical School had put out. So, because he was a Harvard grad. So when he was the president, outside of his brown suit snafu that happened and people gave him the business over his brown suit one day, he decided that in order to reduce his decisions as the president, he only wore black suits or blue suits or gray. I think he eventually switched to blue and gray. And he said, that's it. So when he walked to his closet and said, Mr. President, you have a function, or Mr. President, you have a press conference, he didn't have 15 different colored suits because he knew the research. The more decisions I have to make, the worse and worse I'm going to be when I need to exercise self-control, patience, and strategy to do what I'm trying to do. This is one of the first hacks to your health. Simplify your choices. You know, one of the funniest things about this particular thing is that, you know, there's research put out called the paradox of choice. And in this research, they talked about how, you know, before when I was a kid, and I know I don't look very old, but I'm older than I look. When I was a kid and my mom sent me to the store to get salad dressing, right, there was only French, ranch, and Italian. We were a French family. You didn't have 15 aisles, right, shelves of salad dressing choices. You went, you got French. That's what you eat. Now you go to the salad dressing aisle, you got Chipotle ranch, you got smoky ranch, you got French vinaigrette, you got light balsamic with French mix, you got this with low mayo, added this. So in all these particular things, now you have so many choices, you actually become confused. So people think if I have more options, it's better. See, I grew up very poor in Chicago, and I used to get upset, right? Because my mom was like the same food every day, oatmeal every morning, right? I'm like, man, every single day we're having oatmeal. Then you come back for dinner, beans and rice, rice and beans, beans and rice. It's like you can change it up as much as you want, but it's basically the same food. And I would be so frustrated. And my dad said, you know what? There's one good thing, at least, about growing up poor. And I said, please tell me. I'm trying to figure out what this good thing is. Because all I'm thinking about is I'm not going to be poor when I get older. My dad said, the good thing about growing up poor is you know what you can live without. And it's the truth. All those things, we didn't have fruit roll-ups. We didn't have Pop-Tarts. We didn't have this kind of Velveeta cheese that just melted upon touch as you put it on your pasta. We didn't have that. So because we didn't have that, now that you're older, what makes you think now you got the money, you got the payroll and the bank in your pocket? Oh yeah, we need to have Velveeta cheese and we need this. But when you were a kid, you didn't have that and you lived just fine. You see, its same principle comes to our health. You recognize when you're out of money and you're like, well, I can't afford to eat at Olive Garden this week. I can't afford to get that burrito this week. I can't afford to go to Taco Bell on the run because it's out of my budget. It's actually a blessing. Because you're realizing, guess what? You're going to find something to eat and you're going to be just fine. It's the truth. And it's one way for us to improve our health and to hack our health is to achieve what we call voluntary simplicity. See, I grew up poor, so there's certain foods I couldn't eat. I couldn't eat pork ribs because we couldn't afford it. I couldn't have chicken every day because we couldn't afford that. So therefore, I was actually living a pretty healthy life, but it was against my will. It was involuntary. You follow what I'm saying? But you see, when I got older and I stopped living that way, all these health issues came up. 3 inhalers twice a day. Waking up in the middle of the night, my throat is closing while I'm sleeping. I'm going into anaphylactic shock from stuff I don't even know I'm allergic to. I was just eating it last week. Now I'm allergic this week. People gaining weight, uncles and aunts dying of diabetes like this. And you're like, wait a minute. We was all poor and not able to eat a lot. Everyone lived just fine. Now that everyone has more money, everyone's buying more food, people start dying. People getting sick. I'm having complications at 15 years old. Then I had to realign and calibrate myself. And to say, Sebastian, the simplicity of your life as a kid was involuntary. Now you have an opportunity to do something even greater, which is voluntary simplicity. I'm choosing to live a simple life. Why? So that I may simply live. Period. That's my choice. And that makes it all the more radical. And this is exactly why I start with this basic hack to your health. Reduce your choices. Remove the idea from your mind that more food in the cupboard, more options for lunch is better. It's not. It's a fact. To your mind psychologically and as well to your health. Now, number 2. Let's say you're traveling, because I used to travel globally. I still do. And being a vegan since 2003, on a plant-based diet, I've seen the industry change quite a bit. I remember where there was no silk. There was no soy milk. You went to a restaurant, my first trip in 2004 as a speaker going international was Johannesburg, South Africa. I walked in the airport, Johannesburg. Hey, do you guys have any non-dairy options? Lady just looked at me. Non-dairy options? Like what? We have salad. Oh, wait, that has feta cheese. Is it pre-made? It's already pre-made. Okay. We have a portobello mushroom sandwich. Oh, wait, no, the pesto has cheese in the pesto. So literally, there was nothing I could eat on the menu if I wanted to stick to my diet. Besides the fact I was allergic to dairy, so that was not an option at all. My doctor said I should have been traveling with an EpiPen because I'm traveling globally, like you don't know what you're eating. So as I was traveling, the question became, right, how do you make healthy choices on the go? Because guess what? Your default starts becoming French fries. It's like, well, okay, I can go to Burger King and get some French fries. I know there's no dairy, no bacon, right, in this. At least you hope not. Right? But we're not going to talk about that. Right? So I realized that in doing some research, a nutritionist and a dietitian from Stanford University, she came out and she started teaching a self-guided course that now you can probably get it on Coursera or edX.com. And in this, she showed the research to say, what's the number one thing you need from your food? Now, most people, when they say, what's the number one thing you need from your food? What do you think most people say? Say again? Energy, right? What else do other people say? Protein, right? What else? Carbs, right? The macronutrients, the micronutrients, right? Calcium, all these different things. Then what else? Energy, right? Calories. In actuality, the number one thing you need from your food is water. Antioxidants, right? Micronutrients. Actually, the number one thing you need from your food is water. That's the number one thing. And guess where a lot of micronutrients live? In foods that are heavy in water. Guess what foods have very low caloric density? Foods that are heavy in water. So then emerged the very next health hack. If you are trying to figure out what's the healthiest thing on this menu, what's the healthiest thing for me to eat in this airport, find out the foods that have the most water. You'll be eating the healthiest option available to you. Guaranteed. Number one thing we need from our water is water from our food. This is one of my favorite health hacks because for a lot of people, they think, oh yeah, I gotta do my caloric, trying to track your calories is a hassle, right? Number two, oh, how much carbs is this? How much protein, how much, sugar is in this thing? Look, just find things that have lots of water. You ain't never bought any candy that was 80% water was the first ingredient, right? Right? It's the truth. And the only thing that is like soda. Carbonated water is the first and sugar, right? Which is really, it's the reverse, right? We put sugar and we added carbonated water with the sugar. And people think, right, you're flying on an airplane. Well, Sebastian, what can you eat? Well, let me think. What has the most water in this meal? Right? So guess what foods would automatically be unhealthy? French fries. Well, oil and water don't mix. Definitely not a healthy option, right? You go to meats. They're cooking all the water out of the meat. That's what makes it taste good, so you can get the flavor in, right? And I tell people this all the time. If you went out in the wild with a lioness and they say, oh, we got a fresh kill, and you try to eat that meat, it would not taste the same. It's the seasonings and the flavors and the marinades that taste good, not the meat itself. We flavor it to make it taste good. And I did an experiment one time with someone who didn't believe me. I said, all right, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to season these vegetables with the same exact seasonings we put on the meat. Except I'm not going to season the meat with anything. I'm just going to cook the meat and I'm going to season the vegetables. You tell me which one tastes better. Her mind was blown. My mind, I'm thinking, obviously, it's the seasoning and the spices. But in her mind, it was because it was meat. No, it's not. We flavor it so it can taste good. And guess what? You look at donuts, you look at all these things. It's very easy as a cook to figure out how to make something taste good when it don't taste right in your kitchen. You're like, man, this is not coming out right. You can add fat, sugar, or salt. And if you're really culinary, you might add some lemon and make some sourness in there. Or add a little bit of lemon zest to balance off the sweetness, whatever it is. But at the end of the day, when you want something to taste good, add fat, add sugar, or add salt, guaranteed. It will change the flavor of the food. So people are like, well, cheese, guess what? Lots of salt. French fries, lots of fat. Burgers, lots of fat, lots of salt, and even some sugar in the bun. If you ate that bread with just flour, without the sugar added, it would not taste good. So when we want to give you something non-palatable, we give you foods and just add those ingredients to it. It'll make it taste good. It's automatic. But when you find foods high in water, they're typically low in these kinds of things, except for soda. It's an exception. But don't be fooled because it's carbonated water. Anyway, third health hack. How many people here like sweets? You have a sweet tooth, right? Okay, it's about half of you. Maybe a little more than half. So me and my wife argue about who has a worse sweet tooth, right? All the time. No, well, you just had this vegan. I mean, we're vegan, right? But you're getting vegan chocolate ice cream, right? It's like, okay, oh yeah, vegan donuts. Vegan German chocolate cake is like, come on, bro. 80 grams of sugar is 80 grams of sugar. Whether you got it with dairy or without dairy, right? So in this sense, right, we were talking about this, and one of the things that my wife used to always be concerned about before we were even married was I would always travel with my toothbrush. And like literally, I'd be speaking places, walking places, playing basketball, and my toothbrush would like fall out of my pocket or something. It's like, bro, why do you have your toothbrush here at the basketball? Why do you have your toothbrush here at the conference? You wouldn't even know I actually have my toothbrush here. And here's the reason, right? A dentist will tell you that a poor diet does not only affect your gut and your belly fat and all those things, but also affects your dental health. And so when I was talking to a dentist about this years ago when I became vegan, he said, Sebastian, I'm going to give you, he didn't call it a health hack, but that's really what he was giving me. He said, listen, if you're going to eat sweets, he says, when you're done eating it, immediately go and brush your teeth. I said, why? He says, because most of the sugar that's going into your bloodstream, into your brain, is going through your gums. It's soaking it up. So when you sip soda, when you're sipping juice, when you're eating that chocolate cake, and what are you usually doing? You're socializing. So you don't think to go brush your teeth. Well, guess what happens? The decay on your teeth, because guess what? A lot of your health is connected to the health of your teeth. Most people don't realize that, but it is directly connected. Brushing your teeth after you eat a sweet, immediately. This will reduce the sugar high, this will reduce the low, and it's going to reduce the impact that it's going to have on your gums and everything if you do it right away. It's a little hack because I know telling people to not eat sweets is not going to work. No one's going to stop. All those hands that went up, you're not going to give up sweets today, right? There's no amount of money I could give you. Maybe some people say, give me $1 million. Nah, even for $1 million, you'll break that and you're going to eat some sweets. It's just going to happen. So brushing your teeth after you eat sweets is a very, very important habit. Number 4, brain and bowel connection. Now, there are 2 chemicals that are released in your body that relate to your eating. The first one is ghrelin. The other one is leptin. Okay? Now, I'll explain them very basic to you. Ghrelin is what is released in your body when you are hungry. So this is the chemical that's released into your bloodstream, goes to your brain and says, hey, we need to eat, right? That's what was in your veins when she was up here talking and delaying the prayer to bless the food. And you're like, look, man, I just need to eat. That was the ghrelin in your blood telling you, we need calories, we need nutrients, I need something on my palate right now. Now, leptin is the exact opposite, right? This is the thing that, reduces appetite, et cetera, et cetera. Now, people don't know that the way you think about food affects the way you eat and release this chemical in your blood. See, they did a study at a lab in Minnesota. They have what's called a diet lab. All they do is study diet and the brain in different ways of why people eat the way they eat. So they said, you know what? They showed up with this shake, right? Anyone here like milkshakes? Yes? So they showed up with this shake, and they gave the person the shake, and they said, oh, this is a really healthy, lean kale, spirulina, wheatgrass, in this shake. It's really great for you. After they had them take the shake, even though the person thought this wasn't about diet, they thought it was about something else because they're watching some program or something. Then they wanted to see if they were going to order any other food after they had the shake. And they were plugged into their veins, so they were testing their ghrelin levels in their blood. The second time, they brought the same person back. And they thought it was the same test because they said, hey, we have to do this over 2-3 weeks, right? They gave them the same shake. But this time they told them, oh man, this is a nice, rich chocolate strawberry shake. It's got, Swiss chocolate. It's got fresh caramel. They just told them how rich and just luscious this shake was. Drank the shake and asked how much they were going to order after they had the shake. They noticed 2 things from the research. The first one was, when you tell somebody something is healthy, number 1, when they finish eating that food, they order more food than if they thought the food that they ate was unhealthy. Number 2, the reason is the ghrelin level, when you start eating, What do you think is supposed to happen to your ghrelin levels as you start eating food? It should go down, right? Well, guess what? In the first time they ate the shake, it was the exact same shake, by the way. No difference between them. They just described one is healthy, one is unhealthy. And the first time they drank the shake, because they thought it was healthy, their ghrelin level stayed the same the whole time. The second time they said, oh, this is a nice, rich chocolate, caramel, strawberry shake. Same exact shake. Ghrelin levels plummeted after they ate the shake. They ordered half the calories from the first one. You know what that tells us? In your mind, if you think of food as healthy, you trick your body into feeling as if you need more calories. Brain and bowel connection. You know what we got to stop doing, guys? This is your health hack. Number 4. You have to stop telling yourself this is healthy. It's the truth. This is the most counterintuitive health hack, but it's true. I don't tell my kids, oh, we're going to have a healthy snack today because it has carrots and kale on it. I just tell them, this is your snack. So my wife was really shocked because she was like, babe, our kids are not going to eat kale. Like, I know you love kale and everything and arugula and watercress, but our kids are not going to eat kale. There is no kid under 5 years old that is thirsting for kale, right? I said, babe, watch this, right? So came in, I said, guys, Papa has a real special snack for you guys. Made a nice little ginger dipping sauce, put it on a little toothpick like they were skewers, right? Some tofurkey on there. They were like, oh, wow. So they grabbed the stuff, started dipping it. They were asking for more kale. They killed a whole bag of carrots. These kids are 5 and under. The whole bag of carrots, all the kale was gone. They come back, they're like, Papa, that was an amazing snack. I think that was the best snack ever. And in my mind, I'm like, it was the best snack ever. Because it's the healthiest snack ever. But in their minds, if I start telling my kids this is healthy, because we made that mistake before, then we went out to eat somewhere, and my oldest, Naftali, she's very articulate. So we went to a restaurant, we went out, and we tried to order some food, an appetizer. She was like, Papa, this is a healthy one, right? It doesn't taste good. I'm not going to be full after I eat this. This is what she said. Because in her mind, this is the healthy option. But you say, oh, yeah, we're going to have some vegan cookies, you know, blah, 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 right? Oh, yeah, vegan chocolate chip cookies. Oh, Papa, these are so great. Baba, I'm so full. I don't need anything else. Oh, guys, we're going to have some carrots. Oh, yeah. Papa, I'm still hungry after this snack. Things are hard right now. I'm like, listen, guys, in your mind. After that, stop calling it healthy. Kids don't view kale as a secondary snack to potato chips or anything like that. For them, it's just a snack. And if we get our minds to not think of when you go to the store, when you go out to lunch, you come here tonight, and you say, oh, I came to that supper club there in Spartanburg, you know, it's healthy food. And you're on your way home thinking, I'm going to have to get something else when I get home. Because that vegan food ain't holding. Because we're saying it's healthy. When in actuality, calorically, it's just as much calories. Just as much. And one of my favorite, things about this particular hack is that this is a self-inflicted problem. Because I tell myself, and you tell yourself that this is healthy, this is what the result is. We end up overeating because we say, oh, this is healthy. I'm going to need something else to hit my stomach in order to hold me over. But this is a clear health hack. It's great. Number 5, lesson from the agouti mice. The agouti mice is a study about epigenetics. Does anyone know what epigenetics is? Yes, I see one nod. Okay, good. But most did not nod. Okay. So epigenetics is basically something outside of your genes that's influencing your genes. That's what epi means, right? Outside. So this is outside of your genes that's influencing your genes. So we know we can't change your DNA, right? Your DNA cannot change. But we can change the way your DNA expresses itself by your lifestyle. Now, before, that was just a theory, but now it is a fact. So The agouti mice was a mouse that was literally genetically designed to gain weight. And it was gold colored fur. In this particular mouse, they bred this mouse it ate the same amount as every other mouse, but it just gained more weight than that mouse. So then they decided, you know what? We want to see if we add plant-based nutrition to this mouse's feed, what would happen? So now this agouti mouse was a mom. They started putting plant-based food, nutrition, vegan nutrition inside the feed of the mouse. This mouse had cancer. This mouse had all diabetes. It was bred to get these diseases. When the mouse had a baby, the baby mouse was thin, just like this, not gold colored, turned off all kinds of genes that the mom had. Even though the baby mouse and the mother mouse had the exact same DNA. Exact same. So you're telling me here's a person who's got diabetes, heart disease, all this stuff, as a mother mouse, has a baby mouse, and now that baby mouse doesn't even have those things. Why? Just because of the nutrition. Now, people say, well, Sebastian, that's great for mice, but what about men? Right? Well, guess what? Dean Ornish, he performed a study because he wanted to see himself as well. So he goes forward and he says he takes men who have prostate cancer. He says, okay, guys, I want to see if this will work with human beings. So he takes these men, 30 men. He says, okay, for 3 months. How many months? 3 months. 3 months, he said, you're going to eat a plant-based diet. You're going to exercise at least 20 minutes a day, 5 days a week. You're going to socialize, and you're going to come to some classes just for like encouragement, et cetera, et cetera. Those are only 4 things they did for 3 months. When they looked at their genes, he found in the study, right, that just for 3 months of practicing these 4 habits, these 4 things, it turned off 458 bad genes in their genetics. Turned it off. And it turned on 38 cancer-fighting genes in your genetics. Just from changing your lifestyle for 3 months. It was a lesson from the agouti mice. Health is not just about us. It's also about our children. The choices we make affects the children we give birth to. And not only that, it can control our genes. There is not one person in my family genetically that does not have a serious lifestyle disease. Not one. And people say, well, Sebastian, it's just a matter of time before you get those lifestyle diseases. Well, the lesson from the agouti mice is that's not true. You see, part of hacking our health is recognizing that there is a hack. You're not just married to your genetics. Just by adding certain lifestyle behaviors into your life, you can literally turn off hundreds of bad genes. Hundreds of them. And you can turn on dozens of good genes that are cancer fighting. And so this is so important to remember that basic lifestyle changes not just improve your actual health, not just extend your longevity. Listen, 1 hour of exercise can extend your life by up to 3 hours. Now imagine you exercise every day. And now there was a book just released 2 weeks ago that shows that lifestyle choices can actually reverse Alzheimer's. I was like, what? Reverse it. This woman was literally lost her job. Her family didn't want to deal with her. Went on this lifestyle transformation. Now she's working for a corporation and traveling and living her life. She was full out in Alzheimer's. They thought she was on decline. It's over. Just by lifestyle choices. It's a lesson from the agouti mice. We have more control over our health and our genetics than we think. Number 6, go to lunch with healthy eaters. You know, when you go out to eat, don't go out to eat with that person who's going to be like, girl, we need to get this fried chicken. Because I used to have people that I would go out to lunch with. It was a setup. It was a total setup. Like if I leave, I remember, you know, I'm not going to call anybody out because it's being recorded. So this recording is going to get back to me. But I remember driving somewhere with a person who shall remain nameless.
Is he here?
No. And this particular person I were talking about getting food and lunch, right? And at the time, I'm like, man, I'm trying to give up these Chick-fil-A French fries, man. Like 500, 600, 700 calories. Like this is not good. I could kill easily 2 large Chick-fil-A French fries, and I was eating after that, right? When I'm vegan. French fries are vegan. Peanut oil, you know. That's what you're telling yourself. So while we're driving, right, I'm like, yeah, man, the person's like, oh, so what do you want to eat? I'm like, you know what? I'm just trying to get something healthy. And she's like, man, you know, why don't you just get some Chick-fil-A? I want some Chick-fil-A. I'm like, man, I can't be going to lunch with you. Like, I'm trying to get off the fries. This girl's like, no, just turn in. And literally encouraging me this direction. I mean, I ended up getting some Chick-fil-A fries. Because I'm out with this person, we working together, and we're trying to, you know, figure out where we're going to eat. We don't have a lot of time for our next meeting. There I was, eating Chick-fil-A fries. And you realize the social element is a huge influence on our healthy choices. So when you're going out to eat with people, go out to eat with people who are healthy eaters, who are going to encourage you because listen, it's hard. It is very difficult, right? Because my wife has done it to me. When I used to take my wife out to eat, my wife loves vegetables. I was a vegan, converted her to veganism, and I wasn't eating as much vegetables as she was. So she used to always bring, she's like, babe, why don't you eat vegetables? Like, you're vegan, vegetarian, but you ain't eating no vegetables. I'm like, no, man, it's all vegan. It's plant-based, you know. So we going out to eat, and it was I remember one time I went to this Thai restaurant, and I'm like, oh, yeah, man, I'm going to get this. I'm going to get the mango sticky rice. I was just ordering all kind of crazy stuff. It was not fried, deep fried, you know, spring rolls. Got to get this stuff. I'm like, yeah, let me get this, and let me get that tempura, and let me get this and this and this. My wife's like, yeah, I'll just have the okra and the eggplant with blah, blah, fried rice, right? I'm just like, her food comes, right? My food comes. It's all crispy and fried, and her food is nice and fresh, and the food is still alive, right? And I'm just like, man, she's like, oh, should we pray? It's just like, okay, you know. She's like, because I think you're going to need it after you eat this food. And sure enough, right, she had to drive. I was sleeping. I was getting itis. I ate all of that fried food. I was tired, et cetera, et cetera. And what I constantly let people know is who you eat with influence. It was because of my wife that I became a better vegan than I was before I met her. Because just being around her, she wanted to buy vegetables. She wanted to cook vegetables. She wanted to eat vegetables. She wanted to have salads, right? I never used to eat salad. I'm like, salad, man, this is rabbit's food. I'm like, I'm a Marine. Like, I don't need salad. And this is what we think, right? We need protein, even though all protein comes from plants. Go to lunch with healthy eaters. Super important. Uh-oh, did it freeze on me? It did. All right, try again. Okay, the reticular activating system. This is the RAS, goals and dopamine. I love this hack. At the base of your brain, where it connects with the spine, there's something called the RAS. This is kind of like Google for your brain. You're getting about 8 million bits of information every single day. Well, how come you're not overloaded, right, in your brain? Right now, you're listening to me. You're not overloaded with what's happening out there in the lobby. You're not overloaded with your schedule for tomorrow. Maybe you are. You have anxiety problems or whatever. But most people, right, they're able to filter out all this white noise, right? The lights, the color of that, the food that's over there on my right side, right? You're filtering this out because your RAS system is like Google, right? There's millions of pages on the web, but nothing's going to come up until you do what? Until you put a keyword, right? So you say, oh, Health Supper Club, Spartanburg. Then it's going to sort websites. This is what the RAS does to your brain. So what happens is your goals, your tasks that you focus on, the RAS decides. That's your key word. So if you say, my goal today is no Chick-fil-A French fries, your brain starts working in the subconscious to help you to reach that goal. So what happens is it filters out everything else that's going to distract you from this. And guess what? Then it creates a cycle, because this is how addiction happens. You see, dopamine, which is the pleasure hormone released in the brain, when you reach that goal, your brain releases dopamine. But you always know what we say, right? The first high is never as good as the second. So this is how people get addicted. Because you're trying to go back and get what? The first high. So what happens in your health is that if you write down your goals, number one. Number two, if you visualize yourself accomplishing your goals. And number three, you celebrate the small wins on the way to your goals, your brain will focus and focus and focus. And before you know it, it rewards you for doing that. And this is the way addiction works. Whenever you get discouraged, whenever you start having a low day, or you had a big bad fight with your spouse, or maybe work didn't go so well that day, your brain says, man, we are down right now. How can we pick ourselves back up? When was the last time we were happy? It looks for those dopamine. This is how an addict gets back to the drugs. Because they're like, man, I'm down, lost my job, just got out of jail, blah, 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 blah. Nothing's working for me. Guess what you're going to do? The last time we felt good is when we had this drug in our system. So then the craving comes back. But imagine you can leverage that same power of craving for living a healthy life, because your mind's rewarding you for all the goals that you're accomplishing. And this is literally one of the best health hacks. If you write down your health goals, we tell people to do this in all of our New Life seminars, in our diabetes reversal seminars. Write down your goals, put it on your mirror, put it on your sink, and remind yourself, visualize yourself accomplishing this. It's one of the most powerful ways in your mind till your subconscious starts filtering out the white noise. It becomes your brain's key word. All of a sudden you start getting ideas. Well, let me pick up that book I always wanted to read about health. I wonder when's that seminar going on? You know, what is that website? Are we having supper club next month? Maybe we should do it twice a month. All these ideas start coming to people because they're focused on their goals. And it's at the forefront of your mind. I don't think it's going to switch. All right. Next health hack is nutritional density, not calorie counting. How many guys have heard of nutritional density? Anybody? Okay. See a few hands. Okay. There's something called the ANDI. Okay. ANDI. What it means is aggregate nutritional density index. What this means is certain foods, if you weigh them in the same measurement, let's say 5 grams, one food has much more density of nutrients than the other. This is similar to the water one, right? But this is now nutrients. Well, guess what? Foods that are very high in nutrient density are very low in what? Calories. That's right. Nutrient density. I have an example of the chart right here on the back. So you'll see right here on the screen, right? Tofu is 82. Cauliflower is 315. Watercress, 1,000. That means there's so much more calories and nutrients in reference to the calories that you're getting a lot more nourished with a lot less caloric weight on your body. This is why a plant-based diet helps athletes, people who want lean muscle. We did it with a guy who was doing shot put. He plays for the Canadian national team. He came and he was like, I'm not feeling good, blah, 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 blah. One of my medical advisors, he's a professor in nutrition, and he said, listen, man, you keep eating this way, you're going to die. This is a young guy who's like an Olympic level athlete. He said, well, what can I do? He said, gave him this nutritional density chart. He said, your goal, your challenge is to get 500 points every meal. So 500 would be, for example, on this chart, that would be like a cup of arugula, like 2 cups of arugula salad, as an example. Just get this every meal. He didn't tell him to stop eating meat. He didn't tell him to stop eating other things. He just said, get these points every meal. Now, obviously, when you're eating that much food, things start getting crowded out because you're trying to reach your goal. Now, he's an athlete. He's already tracking his calories, tracking his food. He's exercising every day. He's practicing. 2 weeks later, he comes back. Set a personal shot put record in that 2-week time period. Lost 13 pounds. Set the school, university squatting record in the 2-week period. And he said he's feeling better than he ever felt before. He was completely shocked. Just by increasing the nutrient density of your food, he grew in lean muscle, but he lost weight. His performance went up, and he felt better. And he was literally gaining in the weight room in 2 weeks, just by increasing his nutrient density. This is one of the best health hacks, because a lot of times they say, well, women are interested in health, but men are not interested in health. Sebastian, how do you get the men? I said, I always tell them this story, because I'm like, listen, you think you're going to the gym and you're going to eat your Red Robin burgers and all this kind of stuff, you're going to work it off. That's all right. I'm going to Planet Fitness tomorrow. It's like, I'm going to be on this elliptical 1 hour. You got your Apple Watch. Yeah, 800 calories. Keep going. You're killing yourself. And I tell people, you cannot outwork a bad diet. It's not possible. There's no amount of exercise you can do to outdo a bad diet. You may get rid of the calories, but you're not getting rid of the fat. You're not getting rid of all that stuff that's carcinogenic in your body just by exercise. So we see people all the time in soccer, because of a poor diet, pass out and have a heart attack on the field. But they're young and healthy because he can run like the wind in soccer. But internally, his body is dying. Nutrient density is the key. Last but not least, exercise. Tabata 5-minute workout. I started this years ago because I heard it with a friend. He told me, Sebastian, because I was so busy, I was traveling all over the world. I would literally have like 1 day between trips. And sometimes you're traveling, you're like, man, I don't have time to exercise. So he was like, listen, man, have you ever heard of Tabata? I was like, Tabata, what is this? Well, it's basically called interval training, right? Interval exercise. So one basic example of this is if you go for a walk, right? Instead of you just walking the whole 20 minutes, you would run, right, for 30 seconds and you would rest for 90 seconds. Then you would run for 30 seconds and you would rest for 90 seconds. You do this through the whole workout. What you find is this type of exercise, if the exercise is full body, if you did this 5 minutes a day, you will notice the change in the visceral fat in your body, which is the kind that is bad for your health, and metabolic diseases related to this. So when I'm talking about love handles, I'm talking about why I can't see my abs, and you got guys who are like, man, I'm trying to get my abs, 16-pack, all this kind of stuff. I tell them, then guess what? Lifting weights and just doing crunches all day is not going to work. This exercise is designed to combine aerobic and anaerobic exercise. So you do a full body exercise, 5 minutes, 5-minute workout a day. Your body is literally getting the same output, and your body will continue to burn calories for up to 36 hours after the workout. You know who's adopting this strategy right now? Orange Theory. It's a gym that's growing in popularity. They get you, when you come and you join their gym, you get a heart monitor, right, to track. They call it the orange zone, which is your target heart rate, and they try to keep you at that target heart rate using this interval training. So you go intense for 30 seconds, and this is the key to the Tabata workout. The harder you go for the 30 seconds, the better the output. You only get in, get out what you put in. So if you have it, you don't get it. But I tell people, it's just 5 minutes. Now that 5 minutes will feel like an eternity for sure. Because as every workout does, it feels. But I tell people, when you don't have a lot of time, you could do jumping jacks. You could bring a jumping rope. You could do just air squats, just like that. Fast as you can, 30 seconds, 90 seconds off. You will notice a difference. Guaranteed. It's not only strengthening your cardio, it's also strengthening your muscles themselves. This is one of the simplest ways to maintain an active life when you don't have a lot of time and you're getting the maximum results out of that. That's my 10th hack. Should I take questions? Does anyone have any questions on anything? Yes, ma'am.
This exercise you're talking about, for that 90 minutes, are you then just doing something slowly, or are you totally ready?
90 seconds, you mean?
Yeah.
It could be either. If you're doing the running and the walking, then you're walking during the 90 seconds, and then you're doing the running for 30 seconds. If you're doing a anaerobic exercise, let's say like burpees or push-ups, then you should completely rest for the off time, because you're going to do that exercise again.
Right.
So it's going to get more and more difficult. Each cycle is what we call it. But yes, you're running, and you can either completely rest or you can walk. Either one is fine.
If you're using the roar, what's the cycle there?
You would do the same thing just as fast as you can with the rower.
5 minutes?
Well, you can do 5 minutes, yes. Because a rower is a full body exercise.
Yes. And you rest for
90 seconds.
90 seconds.
Now, the key point here is you want to make sure that your muscles are not imbalanced, right? So you need to make sure you have muscle stability. So if you're used to doing rowing regularly for, let's say, a month or 2 months, then do that, right? If you are, then you should be fine. You just do your 30 seconds, super active, you're going to get the results.
Otherwise, you can start with something that you can manage without creating problems.
Yep, exactly. For your joints or anything like that. That's why I tell people walking and jogging is a good combination. I saw another hand here.
Where do you find the ANDI?
You can Google it, and Joel Furman is the author who created it. He wrote a book called The Nutritarian, and he has a whole book that deals with it. It's like $10 on Amazon, maybe $8. It's called The Nutritarian. The Nutritarian. But the ANDI, you can get that online, or I can send it to Marcus and Andrea. They can send it to you. I have it as well. Yes.
So the exercise, the 5 minute doesn't include the rest periods, right?
It includes the rest. It includes the rest period. Yes. Yep.
I'm sorry, I missed something. The nutritional density chart.
I said I can send it to Marcus and Andrea to share with you all, or you can Google it and find it as well. But yeah, the 5 minutes, to answer your question, does include the rest period. But if you start that way, you can start decreasing the time. So if you find, let's say, for example, in your 5 minute workout, let's say you're doing air squats, and you're like, this is becoming too easy, right? 30 seconds, 90 seconds, you can shrink it, 30 and 60, or 30 and 30, right? I do 40 seconds and 20 seconds. So 40 seconds of workout, 20 seconds of rest, right? So it can start increasing the time, which will make the exercise more challenging.
But you still do it for 5 minutes.
I do it for 20 minutes. But yeah, you can do it for 5 minutes. If I'm traveling, that's what I will do. Any other questions?
Can we have a copy of this recording that you're
Absolutely. Yep. Anyone else? Wow.
What about fun?
Huh?
Fun.
What about fun?
Fun. FAT.
What about fat? What do you mean, what about fat?
Like how much fat can you eat? Like plant-based fat.
Well, you have what we call green light, yellow light, and red light fats, right? So like 1 tablespoon of olive oil is 120 calories. 1 tablespoon, right? That's a red light, yellow light fat. Like you don't want to be eating that every meal. But avocado, as an example, is a healthy fat. Walnuts have healthy fats. So there's nothing wrong with eating fats. You just want to eat the right kind of fats in the right proportion, right? So fat should not comprise the majority of your diet. You shouldn't have an avocado, like 3 avocados and a little bit of spinach. Like it should be the reverse.
I eat 1 avocado
daily. Daily is good. Yeah, avocado is one of the best green light fats to eat. Very, very good for you. And it's also very good for pregnant women as well, for the development of the baby.
What are your other green light fats?
Walnuts. Well, almonds are alkaline nut, but you could use legumes. Another good fat would be, I mean, if you have to have oil, you know, extra virgin, cold pressed olive oil would be okay. Coconut oil is good. You just have to be careful about the heating for cooking with it. It has higher than the other foods, but when you heat oils up past their temperature, it can basically create toxins and things like that in the food. I think those are probably my top 2 or 3 to recommend to people. I can give you a more exhaustive list for sure, but those would be the best ones to do for sure. Great questions. Anyone else? Okay.
Carbs, bad for you, carbs.
Carbs that are bad for you? I mean, non-starchy vegetables are where you want to be. So like potatoes are starchy vegetables, so you want to be yellow light with that. Slowly, but non-starchy vegetables, they have some, so when you're thinking about starch itself, there's nothing wrong, right, with a potato, right? But I prefer you get sweet potato or yams, right? That's a better option. If you take a potato, a regular baked potato, for example, could be 280 calories as an example. You fry it, it just became 720 calories, right? So it's one of those things where with starch, you just want to keep it minimal, right? Not every meal, not regularly. Where you want to be in terms of your starch, brown rice is much better for you. Quinoa, yes, absolutely. But that's where you want your starches to be. But ideally, you want to stay around the legumes, non-starchy vegetables, beans, for example, because beans like black beans, kidney beans, these things have 10 times the antioxidants of blueberries, as an example. So people think, oh, you get antioxidants from strawberries and blueberries. You can get 10 times as much from beans. Absolutely. You're doing well. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I just started cooking with like the grain pasta. Is that better for you than the regular pasta?
It is. It's a yellow light food, so you probably don't want to eat that every day because it's still processed. So if you're going to eat whole grains, it's better to get them fresh as you can so you can fill them with water, right? Because usually when you're making quinoa or rice, you're adding water to that food. But it's definitely a good transition food.
And adding that brown rice into my diet a lot.
Absolutely. Brown rice is a lot better for you, especially if you're dealing with diabetes. You're trying to control your blood sugars and reduce your insulin resistance. Brown rice is definitely a good choice.
I noticed this is very informative, but and I thank you very much. But do you have a website or something that one could go on? That's something that at the end of the year.
You said a website for what? What would you be looking for?
To find out about the things we spoke about here tonight.
Oh, well, this is recorded, so I will have the video, which I can share with Marcus and everything and get it out to you as well. But you can go to the New Life, getthenewlife.com. That's my website. We also have a Facebook page and things like that as well. But yeah, the New Life Challenge, so getthenewlife.com. And if you search that in social media, you'll find all of our pages there.
May I just ask, where were you raised up?
Chicago.
And what was your diet, your basic diet was like?
As a kid?
Yes.
Oatmeal and water in the morning. Fried bologna sandwiches. Cornflakes. Tacos on some nights. Beans and rice most nights. Black beans, kidney beans. My mom's Jamaican, so we had stew peas. As well as, ackee and saltfish, curry chicken when you could afford it.
Oh, yeah. Bring on the goat.
Yeah, curry goat, yes.
Bring on the goat.
So yeah, that was when we got a little more money, we could eat those things. But for the most part, you probably have burgers once a week, fried bologna once a week, and then the rest of that was probably beans and rice. Or some sort of baked casserole or something that she tried to make heavy. She used to like to make lasagna once a month.
And you mentioned that you were having some inhalers?
Yes.
Inhalers?
Mm-hmm. Yes, I was 15. I woke up. I was living in Georgia, Stone Mountain, Georgia at the time. And I woke up in the middle of the night. My throat closed. My body started regurgitating everything in my stomach, which are all signs of anaphylactic shock. I ate a lot of cheese, dairy that day, And I thought there was no problem because I'm usually eating dairy. Went to the doctor. They thought it was asthma because they said, well, we don't have any other explanation, but my lung capacity was way off the charts, so it didn't really match. But I had to take the inhalers, 3 inhalers twice a day. When I moved to a plant-based diet in 2002, within 4 months, I didn't need the inhaler. I was in the Marine Corps before 9/11, so I was able to run a 5K easily in 19 minutes, comfortable. But when I had those inhalers, it was a problem. But I didn't realize in the Marines, they were teaching me how to eat, because when it came time to perform, my instructor would say, don't eat any dairy, don't eat any eggs, don't eat the French toast. He would say, just stick to these things. And I would always get my highest score every time. But later on, eventually I caught up and got off all those health problems, allergies as well. So lifestyle also impacts autoimmune disease as well as depression, mental illness.
So do you still, are you pretty careful about your sugar?
Oh yeah. I have my battles where, because a lot of sugar is similar to addiction to other substances, where your mind, because when you eat that sugar, all that pleasure is being released in your brain. So when you get stressed, you have a long day at work, you want something sweet. Right? And so learning to manage those emotional intelligence sides, because I also do a seminar on emotional intelligence, happiness, resilience, mindfulness, these kind of things, because for a lot of people, if you manage the emotional side, it helps keep the sugar in check. And so usually people have sugar problems. I actually go back to our principle on stress, and I go back to our principle on human relationships. Are there any stressful relationships in your life right now? Number one. And number two, is there any area of your life that is stressful for you? Now, that's a broad question, so I specify. Are you anxious about anything? Are you resentful about something someone has done? Or are you feeling guilty about something you have done? And those usually tell me these are stressful areas in your life. And in those areas of life, they will drive you to eating a certain way, specifically when it comes to sugar. For sure.
So how quickly did you transition from a plant?
I did it radically fast. I wouldn't recommend that. Right. I was in the Marine Corps. I was 185, 180. Within a month of being vegetarian, I was 155. It was not healthy. So I don't recommend that. Our program, as we have codified in my books over there, is gradual. It's not this, cold turkey. I'm crazy like that, but I don't recommend that. Yes.
What's it like for just personally? What is one of your typical days? Like, what do you have for breakfast and lunch and dinner?
Great question. So this morning, for example, yesterday I made my own homemade peanut butter granola. So I take organic, non-GMO oats. I take about a jar of natural, organic, no salt, no sugar peanut butter. I'll melt that down in a pan with a little bit of maple syrup instead of sugar. After I melt that mixture down, I'll put it in the oats, roll that over in the oats, add a little bit of vanilla, a little bit of sea salt, and I'll bake those on the pan. Probably for about 18 minutes is sufficient. You want it a little soft because it'll harden when you take it out. So this morning I had that granola, put in dried blueberries, freeze-dried strawberries, and cherries, dried cherries. And this will be my second meal tonight. But yeah, so on a typical day, I'll have granola for lunch. I'll usually have kale salad with either avocado and a light ginger dressing, or a tahini and lemon dressing. Or I'll have my wife will usually either make something with rice and beans. So I'll have that with the salad. And then by the evening, I like to drink juices then. So if I'm drinking like carrot juice, or I'll have fruits then. Because I always let people know when we have a 30-day challenge that we run. And based on people's goals, I'll let them know that if you're trying to lose weight, it's better for you to maximize your vegetables than your fruit. fruits. Vegetables actually have way less calories and they have way more healing properties. So in the morning, if I'm really trying to get myself intact, I'll do a lot more vegetables in breakfast. So I may eat like a cold, I'll still have the granola just because I want the whole grains. But I may do, let's say a light salad with that, with some fruits in it, or I'll do, I'll eat some carrots and with lemon, a little bit of sea salt, things like that, just because I want to maximize the vegetables. That's my goal.
Do you feel the need to detox?
No, never have. I'm regular, so yes,
TMI.
How much do you recommend raw food? What's the importance of raw food in the daily diet?
you should have something raw with every meal. That's my recommendation. To keep it balanced, but you definitely don't want to do too much raw. I listened to a physician one time talk about patients she had who were going like 100% raw, like all the time. She started having skin issues with melanin color in her skin, blotches on her face, hair was brittle. There's certain benefits of cooked vegetables that you don't get when you eat them raw. And there's nothing wrong with having like a slice of toast, or like I said, eating some nuts, or eating, say, oh, you know what, I'm gonna have this nice little stir fry with a little bit of tofu. Like those things are not unhealthy for you, but some people take it to the extreme. So I usually recommend to people, you want to have something raw with every meal, ideally. So you should try to get 3 servings of fruit, 3 servings of vegetables at least per day. A serving of fruit is like a bowl of grapes, right? Grapes are very high on nutritional index. So they're low calorie and lots of nutrients, right? Compared to their caloric
High
density.
sugar.
Huh? Well, if you're diabetic, yes. Probably want to stick to blueberries, right, instead.
Can you differentiate between the processed sugar and the sugar from fruits, because they're very different?
They are very night and day. Even the fake sugars are no good, right? Stevia, all that stuff. They're linked to accelerating growth of cancers and stuff like that. Yeah.
I think the healthiest one on this.
It's the healthiest, right, of a certain group, but it's definitely not. If you want something sweet, you want to stick to fruit. But if you have to have sugar, there's cane sugar, there's organic, types of raw sugar that are a little better for you.
What about honey?
What about honey? Yeah, honey, maple syrup. Those are, as long as it's 100% maple syrup. But
Yeah. What about agave?
agave nectar too. Some of those things are better for baking than for cooking, because certain type of ingredients you put in, they're going to cook off, so you're not going to get the benefit. Sorry, I saw your hand over here.
Yeah. I'm in weight training, so let me ask you this: will the nutrient density chart, would that help me as far as like control like the body fats and everything?
100%, because if you're in weight training, I do weight strength training 3 times a week at least. When you're on a plant-based diet, you're getting plenty of protein. For example, lentils would be very good. Lentils actually have super high protein. Almond milk has more protein than cow's milk, right? And it has more calcium. So milk has a lot more fat, right? So when you're looking at what you're trying to maximize in your body while you're exercising, high plant-based diet gives you 2 benefits. All protein comes from plants, so you're going to get plenty of protein, right? You may have to eat a bigger salad, right? Or you may have to add a little more nuts or avocado into your salad, some garbanzo beans, right? That's going to give you a lot more protein, right? What you need, and it's healthy protein without all the extra stuff. The second thing it's going to give you is you're going to recover faster from your workout because your body is working so efficient. So if you're doing weight training, you've been 100%. I don't look like I'm lacking food, right? I've been vegan for 16 years. When I go to the gym and people are like, wait, you're 200 pounds? I'm 200 pounds. Absolutely. 33 weights, right? People say, wait a minute, you're 200 pounds? Yeah, let's put some weights on this thing. Let's see, right? And the reality is that I'm getting plenty of protein. And most people in America are getting too much protein. You don't need all that protein. So you can get plenty do a plant-based diet. And those are going to be the benefits to your body. Yes.
Okay, but I'm just gonna go out there anyway. I'm gonna use to mix kale and greens, collards together. Is that by mixing the two, is it a good thing or is it?
Collards are 1,000 nutrient density as well.
So they don't take anything away from the kale, right?
No. You're taking things away when you start frying them, right? There's a guy who's like deep frying kale. You're killing the plant, right? You're putting it in oil, and everything it needs to live is water, right? And you're taking out the water, right? Which means you're taking out the nutrients, right? This is why the whole myth of microwaving food is out there, because microwaves work by increasing the motion of water molecules. That's how it works. So that's why if you put a bowl of rice in there and there's no water in that rice, and you're going to heat up because there's no water. So if there's no water in it, the microwave ain't going to have any effect. So when you're talking about taking something away from a food, you're usually killing the water content, draining the water content from that food. And it's usually involving oil.
Can you make smoothies?
Of course, but the problem is you need fiber. So you can do the smoothie,
With chia?
but you want the fiber.
Yeah, can you mix fruit and vegetables?
Generally, it's okay. You just want to be mindful because they're digested differently, right? Vegetables typically are more fibrous than fruit. And because of that, they're going to go slower through your system. So the number one issue of most meat eaters is actually not, what people think. It's the fiber that they're lacking. And fiber is directly connected to reducing insulin resistance and all those things. Yes?
Should we be using microwaves then or
not? It's not ideal, but if that's what you have, you can work with that. You can steam your food in the microwave. Absolutely. Because all it's doing is increasing the motion of the water. So like, you can literally boil water in a microwave and it won't come to a rolling boil, right? That's a science experiment from like freshmen in high school, right? So that experiment shows you that when you're using a microwave to heat up the water, but if you're doing that to your food itself, right? But if you put the vegetable in there with the water, then you're not going to injure the vegetable as much. So like carrots, so you can, let's say you put carrots or you put broccoli or cauliflower with some water and you season that water, you're going to get a different result. It's not going to necessarily kill it.
some people say microwave is really bad for you?
Well, yeah, there's radiation and all those other things.
You shouldn't cook it that way.
Correct. It's not the ideal scenario. Yeah, definitely not the ideal scenario. Yeah, warming up food is okay as long as, again, you're not overdoing it. But I say this because I deal with very poor populations as well. And I'm always leery of telling people, don't do this absolutely, because I'm going to find someone, like I said at the beginning, who's like, well, that doesn't work for my situation, right? And so I don't want to make people feel like there's no hope. That's the exact opposite of my message. No matter what you have in your kitchen, there is hope for change. Absolutely. And if your best situation is to work with a microwave, we can work with it. It's still better than cooking a burger. 100%. Eat the broccoli, heat it up in the microwave if that's what you need to do. Yes, sir.
You know what I found? Because I was, on the microwave thing.
Yeah.
Kind of like, it was just the thing to do. So the first thing that came into my head, microwave. But then I started listening to people speak about molecules and breaking down and so forth.
Yep.
And things like, not like this one, this is made out of paper, but you had to start from. Then I started getting concerned. When these molecules break down, I get molecules from the styrofoam. So I started looking at plates, porcelain, clay, things like that. So when I heat stuff up, and then I noticed people would say, put a plastic bag on it, and put it there, heat some better, and it gets hot quick and whatnot. But I found out when you're using the porcelain.
Yeah, definitely, environmentally speaking, definitely stay away from
clay or porcelain.
Correct.
I didn't have to worry about any molecules, you know.
Agreed. Any last takers?
I just wanted to ask, how much exercise do you recommend for a senior?
For a senior, 20 minutes,
20 minutes.
5 times a week. Yep.
You want to show a bit about your books?
Oh yes, sure. So here on the table, I brought some books for sale. We have The Healthy Self, which is our progressive challenge program that guides people through the things we talked about over a 10-week period. It also has recipes, it has a meal plan in the back, and it has a lot of the research that we base what we talk about on. I also have a cookbook there and a flyer as well. The Healthy Self book, we usually retail it for 30, but here I'm more than happy to reduce that to 20 if people are interested in it. And the cookbook for the same as well. So just let me know if you're interested in that. I'd be happy to help and connect you from there.
Did you guys enjoy tonight's presentation? A special thanks to Sebastian for coming on and sharing those health tips with us. We want to certainly honor your time here to get you out here by 8 o'clock. So thank you for coming out. We do have a few things to get wrapped up before the cookbook. So if you want to put into practice some of those health strategies, this is available for the lucky winner tonight. So I just need a volunteer who would be willing to come up and choose the, anybody can come. Thank you, Debbie. You can choose it and just read off the number.
Yes, ma'am.
What's the number you have?
39
You can give it to me.
46723.
3946273.
723. 3946723.
Is that anyone here? Can you repeat it one more time?